All right, we are back. If you remember the last trip, brand new parking area, facilities, back at Snowgrass Trail. This is to gain access to the Pacific Crest Trail and Goat Rocks Wilderness. Last time we were here, we came up here, hit the PCT and turned left to head north up to the Knife's Edge. This time we are coming up and we will turn right and head south towards Mount Adams. This week we will see how many miles we do, if we do a few and are done, or if we have time to get some more in before the end of the week. We will see how it goes, but definitely looking forward to it. And already you can see the color changing on the huckleberries, and I see the Mount Wilderness sign, Goat Rocks Wilderness, just up ahead. Magnificent place to be. Enjoyed it last time. It'll be different now without the wildflowers, but it'll be fun to see what else we can see, especially heading south towards Adams. You can see the branches moving, and here and there hear the wind in the trees above us, so it'll be interesting to see what it's like as we get higher elevation this morning up on the ridge line and up at the basin in the pass. So we'll see. It was perfectly calm this morning when we got up at the tent at the creek at the down lower elevation, but it's a beautiful sunny day. So I was following this big tree up to find the top gone completely, and then happened to spy there's a crescent moon hiding up there under the branch. I must say I'm surprised to find huckleberries still ripe at this elevation, but we found some here and there. And then there was this bush. So Holly will get tasty oatmeal tomorrow, and I think we'll have a few extra besides. Note to self, learn more about all the huckleberry varieties here in Washington. Just wanted to record this campsite. Last time we were here, there were two ladies camping with hammocks strung in those trees. But right above this creek crossing here, it's a beautiful spot. There's another site over there. But note to self, camp here someday. Spectacular. Surprised there aren't any hunters in here. I just saw a bear back there. Unfortunately, it was too quick to get it on video. But the huckleberries are still in up here too, so beautiful spot here. I recognize that pile of rocks. And just on the other side of the tree here, we have the signs. Back on Pacific Crest Trail. Trail number 2000. Last time we went to the right and north. This time we go to the left, south towards Adams. But first I gotta catch my breath. The wind has really picked up as we've gotten higher, and I'm assuming when we get above tree line, it will even more. Heading towards Cispus Basin and then Cispus Pass, so we will see. Hit a nice open rock slope. Winds howling through the trees, but one good view of the mountain. Here in the open for a minute, heading back up in that way. I think the rocky area is probably north of the basin up in that way, but a little way further yet, and then maybe lunch break, hopefully soon. Coming around the corner into more wind, but I saw this little side spur trail here. It looks like it goes out to a lookout, so I thought we'd go look and see what we can find. Tent site here, if you can hear me over the wind, right by this rocky outlook. Wow. Mountain just over the top there, but wow, here's where we're heading. If I don't lose my hat in the meantime. Beautiful place. Waterfall right up there. Curious what's behind it, but I can see why people speak so highly of Cispus Basin area. Very beautiful spot. Now we just need to bear foraging berries right there. You can track the water cascading all the way down. Time for a picnic lunch. There's all different kinds of those rare treats that are a surprise on trail when you're walking along and come around the corner and see something. This is one you see frequently in the North Cascades. Lunchtime. I am loving the colors that have just started to change. Some parts are just a little more vibrant than others, but it's beautiful. I was looking up the slope for colors and happened to see that guy. He was a minute ago just sitting still on the wind. Oh, to be a bird.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking of my wrap after the chicken, but you're brilliant. Take hard. There you go, girl.
like to have seen this rock garden area when the flowers were blooming. Very fascinating. But I'm liking the open scene here, the trail switchbacking its way up, and soon we'll go through the pass right up there. All right, that's looking back at that waterfall we walked under. You can see the trail cutting across the slope there that we walked under before, and watch the water going all the way down. Okay, this is looking back at the small waterfall again. Above it's a small basin I wish I could see into. And back above it you can see a different peak. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful area. Very grateful for the switchbacking coming up through here. Well graded trail, and about to break into a view, I think. All right, we are not up there yet, but I do want to pan here. The basin we're coming out of. We switched back up to this point here, and you can see we still have more around the corner that was out of sight. Not a surprise, but I did want to stop and show. Not often we ourselves get to look at St. Helens, and you can see smoke from that wildfire right there. Fortunately, not a lot of it right now. It's worse on the other side, so we'll see how it goes this afternoon. You may not be able to hear me after this. I found a break out of the wind here between the rocks and the trees. Still working the way up. I think that's the pass right there. So we'll see. That's it when we get through there. Interesting looking ahead. It looks kind of like a peephole through the trees here. See if we get a view or not. Sometimes the trail can be teasing and there's still another step. But let's find out here in a second. Let's see. Aside from this ridge line here, what kind of views we break out into. Entering Yakima Indian Reservation, because we crossed to the east side of the ridge, I think. I can hear the wind already. Bugs those are, but they are busy. I love those fuzzy seed heads, and when these marmots choose to just lounge on a rock and watch you. Very cool if you check out the shape of these rocks and realized they're all the same. They just broke off at different lengths as they tumbled out of up there. But what's cool is they're not poking upward, it's turned and poking out sideways. Very cool. That was our brief stint on the other side of the ridge. So this is going northbound, entering, we're leaving the Indian reservation because we are now switching over to the east side of this ridge and heading down, finding water and a camp this evening. Okay, so we're out of the wind down here now and the sun's making it feel warm. So we broke through the trees, we suddenly hit this view again. Really nice to get it on and off. Someone really needed water to set this one up and catch it. Alright, you can see a junction here and there's a trail sign. That one trying to fall over. It says Sheep Lake. I think it's 1/10 side trail, we'll verify. But I think that water source will be our camping. And it looks like Nanny Ridge Trail to get there. So take a look at the map again and check it out. Came across all this color I thought I'd show. And we are at the lake. It's a beautiful small lake up here. Working on finding a site to camp at the moment. While sitting here filtering water into my bottles, I figure it's not a bad view to enjoy. Watching the wind blow the grass and across the lake. Alright, so the lake's on the other side of the bump. It was either one site that wasn't taken yet there overlooking the lake, but the trail went right through it, so people walking through camp, or crossing this meadow with no trail all the way back to a site hidden, if you can see that tan color, right at the edge of the trees. And I asked her, and without a second's hesitation, my amazing wife says privacy. So back here it is. And I found one great bonus, show you in 1 second. Okay, so she chose the spot. The one downside is hauling water, but not that far. This is the meadow I was just showing a second ago. But here's the big bonus, not right from the tent, but right from our campsite are the mountains we were just hiking through up by Cispus Pass. So not a bad view in place of a lake. I must say that right there, Sumatra Dry Process, is the best camp coffee we have ever had. Absolutely amazing. Here is noodles, beef, herbs, bone broth, hopefully helping with my joints and tendons while we hike today, and some dried tomatoes for extra flavor, and I'll show you Holly's here in a little bit. Here is Holly's oatmeal. She added chia seeds and protein powder to give it some bulk and staying power. I think there were a few dried blueberries in there for taste, but we've accented with huckleberries, so she is excited. Heading out in the morning early, it's not quite 7. Alright. Back up on the side trail. Back on PCT, heading south. There were a lot of people camped at that lake. I guess it's a pretty popular area around here, but it was a good sight. And happy to see some new miles. Just broke out in this meadow, and I've been watching in case there's animals moving first thing, but instead got a good morning view. Magnificent. So a lot of mossing in this section. It's kind of cool with the lighting sometimes. Don't think we're going by that down there, but cool to see in there. You can't see it now, but there's a meadow behind those trees down in the bottom. Rocky Ridge, and where we're heading, Mount Adams. Someone did a great job with this, not only with the leaf the rocks, but you can see they put a bark slab funneling the water down here, so trickling slow, but it works to fill the bag and filter water, so thank God for that. Alright, there's still the pond with the mountain over the ridge, but off this direction, I think that is Walloped Lake. We had originally planned to access the PCT from there before plans changed. I think the trail goes up through that gap, follows the river up that way, and joins the PCT. Instead, we'll go through this way somewhere heading towards Adams. Intersection. We're staying on the PCT, but you can see the intersection sign here. This is where the trail heads down to Walloped Lake. So one option for a way in if you're coming to access the PCT, but we're going onwards. Alright, the pool is not deep enough for scooping, but somebody did set up a leaf here. This one's a lot slower and definitely tests patience, but we're thankful there's water, because the next water would be on up the trail that way, up and over the next ridge line, up and down, I think 5 more miles, and we need water, and we found a great campsite right here by the water, so we're gonna call it good for a day and hit the hill tomorrow when we're fresh. But for now, snack and then an early supper. Alright, power bar for protein. It seems like s'mores seems appropriate when camping. I doubt it's gonna taste like one, but let's find out. Alright, starting the morning with a climb, but it is nice to get about half the climbing today done first thing, so once we catch our breath at the top, maybe we'll be thankful. Alright, broke out on this rocky point here, where at least it opens up and get to look around a minute. I think while we catch our breath, maybe we'll try having a snack too or something. Up and up ahead you can just make out, oh, nice craggy peak there. That's the direction we're heading. But first, food. Fog fog lifting. We're guessing off the lake. She's gonna check the app and see. Still the craggy peak, we're heading in that direction anyway. Kind of rocky terrain in places, but I'm enjoying the fall color in this trip while we're hiking and huffing our way uphill. Alright, so I was looking back to enjoy the color and then just caught a glimpse of the mountain peeking around the corner. Beautiful. Look at that cloud sticking right at the top of it. Alright, I came in this tiny little spur trail off the PCT and there's this campsite. And look at this down, that's the fog over Wallop Lake. And look at that, that's where we were. Cispus Pass and then Cispus Basin is right in that area. I'm gonna have to move over because the left of this tree is Rainier, but I can't see it. Hold on a second. All right, pan along the ridge and you can just make it around those trees. Rainier. Some cool views. Hopefully we'll hit an opening in a little bit. All right, we've been following these tracks along. This one's less distinct, although you can see the dew claws at the back end. One back here has a better point, but you can't see the dew claws as well. So I've been following along, tracking this thing. And we haven't seen any ourselves this trip. See this track here? Measure its stride. There's the front print. Haven't seen any, but we have heard elk bugling, so that's been a real treat this time. Unfortunately, haven't caught the sound, but fun to track it here anyway. I see a sign on a tree. Must be a spur trail going down somewhere. Well, okay, that one has sticks across it, and that's not us. That is Coleman Weed Patch that direction. PCT south this direction, so make sure to follow the switchback. You can see back where we came from. There's Holly coming and the switchback this way, and then fortunately as you go this way you have a PCT symbol. There aren't a lot of them through here, but there is one right here, so on the right track. Definitely don't want to head off into who knows where. Alright, many reasons to look back regularly, but this time I happened to glance back and managed to not miss the sign leaving Goat Rocks Wilderness. It is a splendid place, and I do recommend it if you can make it here. You hear that boom? The squirrels are dive bombing us with these pine cones that are unopened and amazingly dense, and they're kind of crazy. But we're listening to them bounce off the branches, down the trees, and funking on the ground. While we're one, catching our breath, and two, enjoying a snack break. Check out this perfect love seat. Nice flat rock here. And I haven't mentioned, there's been a few deadfalls, but nothing really worth mentioning, so here in a minute we'll finish the uphill and head on towards a water source. Came down to the side just to capture the reflection of the water there. Don't know if I'm going to get water from it, but it does make a pretty reflection. Going through an area right now that's a lot thicker around us. Kind of scrubby brush with small trees everywhere. Pretty dense, but it's pretty level walking or gentle downhill. It's been nice and quick walking. Here we took a lunch break where there was some water. Now we're ready to cover a few more miles. It's cool air still. Sun feels warm, but the air is nice and cool, so we're probably gonna make good time for at least the next couple miles. Back into a few huckleberries. Most of them have been dried up, but there are a few still hanging on down here in the heat. All right, so here's a road access we didn't know about. So we keep going south this way. think this stretch would be pretty when this bear grass is in bloom. You can see these stalks here, long faded. It'd be pretty lining the trail on both sides. I bet it was pretty when it was in bloom. Should be almost to the road that crosses the trail. Not too far yet anyway. We'll see another, I don't know, hour or more. Well, even with the temperature not too hot, we're still managing to sweat it out uphill. But overall, the weather has been excellent. And it looks like we're leveling out a bit now. This is great. I see a signpost, but significantly, I see the front end of a car. Actually, another car, so we're not the only ones going in here. But here's the car. Here's the non-notable PCT sign. I'll show you the other one over across the road in just a moment. Let's open the car and cool it down. All right, let me walk just across this access road here a minute, which is a really nice road in and out. Oh, and there's mountains in the distance. In and out here, this is continuing south in the PCT, and I'll show you the sign up here in the memorial. So the plan was, if we had time after this section, is to resupply at the car, move the cars, and do this next small section from here further south. But Holly's not recovering overnight by morning due to the still fighting infection, I think. So we decided to leave this section here. As you can see, this is Potato Hill going south towards Forest Road 23, and we'll add that. We have one small section past that, and we'll make one larger section out of that next time. I appreciated this memorial here, but more to look forward to. One positive about leaving this next section is it will give the awesome part by Mount Adams, where you're going right alongside of it, in with our next trip, which is nice, because the rest of it will not be as nice as this one has been. So it'll be nice to leave a little bit of a high point in that section. So next time, for now, we will sign off from this and say it's been a great trip, and certainly recommend the Goat Rocks if you can ever get there. Now to see if the car starts. Okay, so we're coming down the access road from here to get down to the highway to get into Packwood for burger and fries. And I just had to stop to show this. This is so cool. This whole hillside here has these little rivulets, and you can see all this water running down this ditch comes from about a quarter mile that way or a bit more this way. And hold on, I'll take you. What a beautiful oasis. About a half mile along this road, along this mountainside, is water everywhere. And I'll show you the nice fluffy heads on the fireweed here. But a nice little beautiful treat on our way out down to town for burger and fries. Can't wait. Excited.